All right, here's another application that I want to talk to you about, and that is lending. We call it innovative lending, but the point here is that there are lending contracts that you can have. Now, I've already talked about MakerDAO, which effectively is a lending contract. You make a deposit of one crypto asset, and in return, you get DAI, the equivalent of a US dollar worth of money. That's that is a little bit like taking your ETH to a pawnbroker, but but you can see this actually works quite well. So the one particular mechanism that I want to talk to you about is Compound. What Compound does is essentially tries to emulate in some way things that a traditional bank would be doing. Now, as we know, what a bank normally does is they do three forms of intermediation. They do size intermediation, right? Lots of depositors have small deposits, but people who want to take up a mortgage, that's a large amount. And so what the bank does, it basically takes the deposits from many depositors, and uses the magic of the treasury and the leverage that they have and create a new loan which allows people to get up the huge loan, which is the mortgage. Right? They do term intermediation. Some people have very short-term needs and have short-term deposits and short-term want to deposit money in the short term. People want to take out loans, usually run for longer horizons. And by managing the various deposits that they have the ability. So if you want to have, basically, if you're a short-term depositor and you want to give out a loan to somebody else, you can only give out very short-term loans. But what the bank does is, because there's many deposits that they have, they can create term intermediation and allow people to have longer-term loans. And then last thing is risk intermediation, right? So many loans themselves, in every individual loan is very high risk potentially. If one person gives one person a loan, if that person goes bankrupt, you lose all your money. But if you give your money to a million different people, then some of them will go bankrupt, but not usually all of them simultaneously. So there's risk intermediation. Now, when we dig crypto assets, usually everything is very short term. So term intermediation is not really what you want to have. And so what we're basically looking at is collateralized loans. So this is very similar to the MakerDAO loans that we have. So, and then because all of the activities, for now at least, on the blockchain are anonymous or pseudo-anonymous, you can't really establish who you are. So the risk component is a very difficult one. So having any blockchain-based lending cannot differentiate between people of different credit worthiness, let's say. Okay. So now however, what Compound does, it pools deposits together, and then it issues loans based on the deposits that are available for particular securities. Okay. Let me do this again by a few examples. Now, the way it works again is that in Compound there is a collateral ratio. So the way it basically works is like, so when you have a collateral ratio, and these collateral ratios depend on the particular security that you have. If you have a collateral that has a collateral ratio of 0, then that's good for nothing. You can't actually even loan it. If it has a collateral ratio of 90, then it means that it's effectively what you put as collateral as a stable coin. Right? So it is very secure. So take an example. Suppose you post 100 DAI. It means that you can get the collateral ratio for that would be 90. And so then for each dollar that you want to borrow, you have to deposit 100 over 90, which is $1.11. Or rather, you can also think about it as you put the amount of money in, and it's worth, let's say, $100. You can borrow then up to $90 based on that collateral. And let's say you take ETH. You put $300 worth of ETH into the contract. The collateral ratio is 60, so you can take up 60% of that loan, of that amount, as a loan. So as you put down that amount, you can take out basically a loan for $180. Now, why would you want to do that? You may ask. Well, for instance, you may want to take out the loan in a particular crypto asset and put it into another contract that you want to deposit, where you can make some short-term money, where maybe there's a particular good deal on Uniswap for a particular pair or the like. Okay. And then finally, let's say you post 1 ETH and 100 DAI, right? So that's $400 worth. So how much can you take out as a loan then? Well, it's just the weighted average of the two collateralized loans, right? So you can take out $180, so 60% of the $300 ETH loan and 90% of the $100 DAI loan. So the total that you can borrow up is then $270. So that's basically how these collateral ratios work. It's entirely straightforward and entirely transparent. And that basically allows you but that allows basically to have, these loans being made on the blockchain. Now you can see the system exists. There's some there's some loan rates are posted, borrowing rates are posted. And what you can do as an individual, you can actually deposit money into contracts, and then you receive the interest rate that that is being paid on these particular loans, right? So the borrowing lending rates are being shown, and then the payments for these borrowing lending rates are compounded per block, right? Because that's the time unit that the blockchain uses.